Welcome to the Connection Central Industry Podcast, where real conversations meet real strategies. Each episode we dive into the industries that keep Australia moving, talking with the leaders, innovators, and everyday operators, shaping what's next. So settle in, turn it up, and let's get into it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Michelle O'Hara here from Connection Central for another industry podcast. Very lucky today to have Sharon Morrish with us. Sharon is from Surf City Cranes and wotsGOOD, a very interesting combination as she goes from cranes to gratitude. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and thank you so much for inviting me.
Lovely. So, Sharon, cranes to gratitude. Tell us a little bit about your story to get started.
Wow. Yes, I never thought that I would be in cranes, but I have probably always been quite spiritual and into more of the gratitude or the positive outlook on life. But I started off as a young female leader back in the day. I'm feeling a little bit old these days. Back in the day, and I worked on Hamilton Island, I worked in hospitality, and I was a young female, the first female duty manager on Hamilton Island. And I went from there to the first female general manager for 2 football clubs in Brisbane, and then became the general manager, the first female again, of Southport Yacht Club. And from there, we were both working really hard. I met my husband in Brisbane. I started having babies late in life. So I had 2 small babies and another one on the way. And we went, there's got to be a better way to make a living. So it was either by a pub or by a crane. I won out. I think I won out in the fact that we bought a crane because he was a crane driver, and we started our first crane company of Surf City Cranes, the name of that coming about from my time on Hamilton Island and a yacht club, because we used to do the city to surf yacht racing. And I said, how about Surf City? It aligned with everything that we were doing. So that was 20 years ago. This in January started with 1 crane, and now we are obviously all over the Gold Coast, Brisbane and Northern New South Wales.
Goodness me. And tell us a little bit, we've obviously talked prior, but share with the audience how the transition went from cranes to gratitude.
Well, cranes to gratitude. Well, cranes, as I said, was different, but we could combine our experience, mine obviously with business management, etc. And then my story is similar, I guess, to other women. We are females. We might, some of us are mothers. We work hard. We're still organising everybody in our life as well as ourselves. And when you're organising a team, we work really, really hard, and we tend to think that we can do it all. And I'm not saying we can't do it all, but we overwork and we push too hard and we put our health last. And that's exactly what I did. And then in 2014, I had taken on another role as PMC president for our local school. A little bit of an overachiever, I feel I was back in the day. And I had a burst aneurysm in my brain. My sister-in-law found me. I think they said I had about 20 minutes before I would have been completely kaput. And I was on life support for 4 to 5 days in Gold Coast Uni Hospital. They definitely saved my life. I was in ICU for 3 weeks and in the brain ward for a month. And I was very, very lucky, the fact that they said 5% come out by myself. And I was one of the 5% that survived that. And that's where the gratitude came into it. Prior to that, I had 3 kids in 3 schools. I was running all over the countryside for various reasons. I was working, I was volunteering, and I realised that I am overworking. I am very, very tired, and I was putting myself last in too many areas. So the gratitude came out of the fact that during that moment in hospital, I can honestly say that, yes, I have experienced the spiritual love. It is real, and there is nothing like it in this world. And it made me very, very grateful, which I still am to this day. Obviously, for life, I became even more honest, but I had to learn to be diplomatic again, because I automatically knew whilst I was in hospital and when I was out of hospital, how do I fix people's lives? I could tell them what was wrong and what they needed to do, but people don't necessarily want to hear that. And I had to learn to do it in a different way. So I decided to put out the positive vibe in the world and try and encourage people to change their life or live their life with alignment and alignment to their soul, because everybody wants a different thing and it's got to align with themselves. So I started a gratitude journal, an app. I didn't put too much into it because I was still working, obviously, or it was about a year I had to before I was really capable of working again full time. And I had the kids, and then I just went on this journey of gratitude is such an important thing in life, but it's become a little bit too cliche, unfortunately, because it is definitely a valid thing that we should all be practicing every day. So I got together with a friend and we rebranded it and we came up with the name wotsGOOD to put out that again to how to reset your life, how to live your life by your rules, and how to feed your soul while still being practical in the day-to-day world, because we all need to still live. We all need to still make money. We all still have the realities of being human. And I think people think, oh, if you just do this, this, and this, you will overcome that. But no, you have to be still practical. But if you are practicing that gratitude, or you're working towards, and it might be one small thing a day that brings you back in alignment with your soul, then you are going to start creating the life of your dreams. That's
Nice.
my dream, I guess.
Wow. So if you had to go back, and how old were you when you had the brain aneurysm? The brain.
52.
So if you had to go back to yourself, even when you were 30, when you were running around like a demon, and taking now from what you've learnt and what you've practiced, what would you tell, what are three things that you would suggest to that person back then when they were 30 to help them get
Oh,
started in this process?
look, at 30, I was working very, very hard. I was on Hamilton Island. I was working an
Yeah.
11-day fortnight. My career was on track. That was all going really well. Well, I did play hard.
Didn't we all? Thank God there was no social media.
Yes, definitely very, very grateful. No sense of it. So, look, I would still do probably the same thing at 30. I've got to be honest with you. I would still work hard. I would still probably play not so hard. But the one
Yeah.
thing I think, or the three things I would probably do, is I would speak up for myself more. I would say no instead of saying yes when I didn't want to do things.
Yeah.
And I would honor my soul more. And
Nice.
by that, I mean I will do what my soul yearns, not what other people want me to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so you mentioned, you've been in a male dominated industry world for a long time now and in leadership positions as well. I know that a lot of people in our audience, especially a lot of the ladies, they're in those sort of environments. I guess, and the challenges would have been even a little bit more different when you were going through than they are now, potentially, hopefully. Just share with us some of the challenges that you went through and how you moved through them, really.
I'm going to be honest, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of strength of mind is probably it, and really believing in yourself, or believing that your authenticity and your integrity will win out in the end. I was the youngest female leader in Queensland clubs. I was only one of three females. So I would have been 10 years younger than the majority of others. So it was very male dominated. And I copped a lot of flack. I was accused of sleeping my way to the top. I was undermined a lot by women and men, which was disappointing. And I would come home, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I would come home and cry because of the criticism or the lack of respect, the innuendo. It, it,
Yeah.
it wasn't nice, but I was probably also lucky enough to have some males that were really good mentors who did believe in me, and some females that did believe in me. And
Mhm.
I'd had a strong friendship base and family base that also believed in me. And that kind of thing does give you the strength to go,
Mhm.
you know what? I know what I'm doing and I'm good at what I do. I didn't survive by drinking at the bar. I didn't survive by being one of the boys. I survived because I knew my job well and I kept working hard. And yes, I did have moments where I lost my cool. where I would yell. I remember one day yelling at one of my bosses going, this is so not fair. You know that I'm better at this and other people have been promoted around me. And sometimes saying that out loud in probably not correct the way. I should have done it more professionally. But they need to remember. They needed that reminder, and it woke them up a little bit as well in the fact that they went, yes, you're right. And then people started to, once I started being promoted, once I got to the top, it was easy because I knew my stuff, whether other people would get to the top and they didn't know that stuff. So really, I don't know whether I'm repeating myself, but being authentic to yourself, having the integrity and really believing yourself and surrounding yourself with good mentors and good people in your family.
So nice. And what made you go down those roads in the first place? Because that was pretty brave. That just sort of happened to fall in your lap, or you loved footy? Like, I love footy.
No, it was a shock to the system going from resorts to clubs. I've got to tell you, it was a very different world. But one of my old general managers had gone there and I was moving to Brisbane and he offered me a job. And it wasn't obviously the GM job, it was just a job. And he left within, I think, a month of me being there. And then probably within a period of 6 months, they put in another general manager and he could obviously see my potential. And that's what I mean. I was also lucky in the fact that I had a couple of good males there that could see. They could see my experience. They knew what I could do. They could see it in the work that I was doing. And I was always one to put my hand up. They'd say, who wants to do this? Who wants to learn this? And I go, yes. I did a lot of things for unpaid work. One, because I wanted to learn, I added on learning new skills, but also two, because I cared about my work environment. And so within a period of time, he was going to leave and he put my name forward to take on the job. So that's how I got into clubs. And again, it was a bit of a shock because I had gone from Hamilton Island where we all worked together and lived together and we were a team. Anyone who help on days off or anything, we were a team, to clubs where there were some young male duty managers who were very, very upset that they didn't get promoted and they made my life very, very difficult. It's the question of where are they now?
Do you know where they are now?
No.
Who cares where they are now? No, that's terrible.
No, I think that they probably made it in the end because of attitude. Attitude is everything. You maintain that intent.
Yeah, gosh. He had to be so brave. So just sort of going to the gratitude side of things, it sounds like you've gone from what was quite a hectic life to being more calm, which is something I think we all need. I guess you had sort of a catalyst to make that happen, but it's sort of, I often talk about the tap, tap, bang model, which I think a lot of us get put through, and it's not till for me, it was breaking my wrist just recently. I guess any tips on not having to go through that?
I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it. And I liken it to, and often if I am putting myself in that situation where I'm overworked, I'm overtired, and I'm not listening to myself, I stop. And I go, yeah, sorry, universe, don't hit me with the 4v2 again. I've got it. I'm slowing down and I'm resting. So I do talk to myself or the universe, and again, it's really going back to, I wasn't listening to my body.
Yeah.
I was just caring and worrying about everyone else. You've got to go back to the old analogy of on an airplane, what's your master to put on first?
Yes.
So I was obviously a slow learner. I was getting all the signs, and then they just went whack. See you later.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think you're alone, though. I think we all, and we were only discussing this the other day, actually, us girls, and saying, we're not sure where all this has come from, this need to put everybody else first, and are we not deserving enough, to put ourselves first and everything. But it sounds like it's a daily practice, like you mentioned, to just be aware of it and, check in, the constant check-ins, I guess.
So every morning my practice is I pull a card, could be from anything, a gratitude card. I say my gratitude to myself. I might listen to a 2-minute meditation if I'm really, really busy. Might be a 5-minute. I'm not really good at meditating, I've got to be honest, but if I can find that quiet time and it gives me some sort of scope to be grateful and calm, then that's what I would do. And then during the day when I'm feeling like I'm overworking, I would just take a deep breath and I might listen to something really, really positive, or it might be silent. It depends on what I need at the time. I go through stages where there's no music in the car, there's no music at home or the podcast. It's no, I need quiet time to, no, I need some really cool music today, or I need to listen to a podcast today, or I need to listen to a meditation today. And I've also created a couple of my own meditations that I might listen to. So it's a variety thing, but it's really about being aware and stopping and listening. And I'd always start my day off with a gratitude.
Nice. Now, this is a bit of a left field question. I know because I love everything you're saying, and I'm the first to say I'm a hippie at heart. I think when it comes to my husband, it's taken me years to, of talking this stuff for him to come around. Tell me a bit about that relationship with you. We haven't talked about this, so I'm fascinated to know.
Yeah.
How did all that go with him?
Do you know what? My husband is actually very spiritual. So we both practice manifestation, and it
Nice.
it has worked us well. I was probably more spiritual, but he sort of come online with it. So he never hoo-ha'd it. So I am very, very lucky there. He has been to a few meditations to me. I do a circle on a spiritual level, usually, every couple of weeks. And he doesn't attend that, but he fully believes in that. And if we want something, he will he's obviously obsessed with machines. So he will get a picture of the crane that he wanted to buy and he will put it on the wall. And 5 years later, he'll look and go, we just bought that crane. I go, oh my God, we did. So
Has he always been like that?
it does happen. Yes, it definitely does
And
happen.
was that though because of your influence, or was he always like that?
No, I think that we have probably been a good match in the fact that he had always been quite spiritual, but I've been more so. So he has developed more along that line. And because I'm one of those learners and research and action it and do it, then he will become involved in that a little bit more. And even after the aneurysm, he said the same thing. Yeah, it's definitely something there that has saved me. And he was putting out and all kudos to him and shout out to him. So when I was actually on life support and I was in goodness knows where, no man's land, I had written a goodbye to my family, which I still don't remember. And it was the nurses in the operating ward that they were about to operate. And I must have indicated that I wanted to write. So they let me write. They got me a pen and paper. And again, shout out to them because they were aware enough to understand that. So I wrote a goodbye note to my family, telling them how much I loved them, telling them how proud I was. But my kids were only, 7, 10 and 12. This, I talk about it. I've got it framed here in my office at home. He framed it. And then he put a shout out on social media telling people what had happened, to send in some love and support. So he then printed out every message and my whole ICU was covered in love and gratitude. My sister came in and put crystals all over me. They tried everything possible. And so we kept the notes and amazing. It's just amazing. It calls out my heartstrings every single time.
God, it's gorgeous. That's amazing. And tell me, I guess, quite often we think if we don't keep pushing and pushing and pushing, the whole world will fall apart, right? So
Yes.
during that time when you were in hospital, obviously you weren't working and your husband, probably couldn't even concentrate. Did the whole world fall apart with the business?
We have mothers. My mother, how old was she? She was 84 at the time. She moved in that night and she became the mum. I'm nearly crying now. She took over. I had my sister-in-law and my sisters, both my sisters, my brothers. Everybody did their bit. So mum lived here for a month, did all the cooking, the washing, took kids to school. My sister, obviously, both my sisters helped. My sister-in-law was our bookkeeper. So she obviously took over all of the personal things. And the funny thing is after I woke up in hospital for the first time when my children walked into the room. This is the power of love of a mum. And I wrote a note because I obviously couldn't speak. I was surrounded by life support stuff and still on the breathing paraphernalia. And I said, I'm a fighter, I'm strong. And And then I think probably about a week after that, my sister-in-law came in. She said, Shaz, I need your login details for your bank. And they didn't know at this stage whether I had brain damage, whether I was, they kind of thought that I was going to live at that stage, but they didn't know how much damage had been done with the brain because I was out for quite a while before anyone found me. And so I started to write because I still couldn't speak. I still had all the tubes in me. And then I crossed it out. So I wrote my number and I crossed it out and rewrote it because I had only changed it a few days before the aneurysm. So as soon as I did that, everyone just went, oh, she's fine.
Good, yeah.
So everyone, again, it team, doesn't it? It's like in business. Family was the same. Family and business. You can be the creator, you can be the visionary, you can be the instigator, but nothing works without a team of people around you.
Oh, what a beautiful message. Made me emotional now.
I know, I'm being very strong already. Normally I'm very sensitive, like, hold it together, Chad, hold it together.
Nah, don't have to hold it together. Wow. So tell me a bit more about what's good and what you'll do now. What does that look like? What is that becoming? Share that with us.
Okay, so what's good is my passion project. So as I said, I'm an avid learner. I'm still a bit of an overachiever. So I went and got my MBA during COVID because we couldn't go to work, and I went, well, I need to do something a little bit more. So I finished that, and then strategy.
So true. Beautiful. Because I think, talking to so many mums, there's a lot of particular 20-year-olds out there that are just not sure about, what they want, right? And where they're going and what their purpose is. And I think they don't necessarily have those tools, like we were just told to soldier on, I think, and, throw it under the carpet. But nowadays, I think we do talk about this stuff and they want, they need some solutions and some strategies to help them get through because all the answers aren't there immediately. Yeah. They would love that. Yes.
They're just telling you to say things.
Question everything. I agree. Yes, it's the way to go. So we're almost at the end here. So what I would love to do, Sharon, you've got something new coming out soon, I believe, a new course. Or it sounds wonderful. I love the fact. Look, I've always loved all this stuff, and I think that when you have somebody like yourself that has been so successful as a businesswoman, going through the journey and then coming out the other end. I know it's terrible, but I actually feel like it gives it more kudos because you've been through what, we're all going through. And therefore, whatever comes out of that now, is the right thing. And therefore, we know. So it is a really great, credible piece, I have to say. And we're so grateful love that. And I think to finish, I love that. We're going to put that as the major question when we post this stuff up. But we've got you obviously on the 26th of March for a Connection Central luncheon. You're our guest for the ladies' lunch. How lucky are we? And so we really look forward to having you there. So all of those ladies out there that need these tips and need to connect with this amazing woman, you're going to want to come along to that. But Sharon, thank you so much. One final word or sentence, anything else that you just want to share with us and the audience to close? Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thanks for being on.